This is a Hot Pie Media original.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the DNP-CD Sports Podcast presented by OddsShark. I'm Chad Fisher alongside my co-host, Tony Farmer. What's up, man?
Hey, man, I got my 49er jersey on today because we're going to be talking to four-time Super Bowl champion Jesse Sapolu and talking a little bit of NFL Week 3 action today.
Yeah, he's a good friend of the program. We've had him on already once before when we first started. So it's going to be cool to talk to him now. We've got some football. I think last time we talked to him was like February or something.
Yeah, for sure. And he had so many good stories last time, didn't he, Chad?
Yeah,
he told us that epic Merton Hanks story. He told us a story about Roger Craig and Joe Montana calling him on the phone when he was holding out. Bitch, when you coming in? And so I'm going to ask him today. I'm going to say, hey, Jesse, do you have any more stories for us? And I bet he does.
Oh, dude. That would be a guy I would love to sit down with, have some beers, and just talk some shit, man. He would be just a fountain of information, man. It'd be great.
Seriously.
Especially once you get a few beers in him, he starts telling you a little bit more stuff. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, we're super excited about having Jesse on the show, having him on again. I think we're going to have him on regularly, hopefully, a couple times a year at least, to talk some 49ers. Now we got some actual football to talk about, so it's going to be interesting to get his opinion on the 49ers through the first couple of weeks of the season. See what he thinks and what they need to improve upon and everything.
For sure, man. Before we get to our interview with Jesse, Chad, can you tell folks a little bit about our favorite lead sponsor here, OddsShark?
Yeah, definitely. The DNP-CD Sports Podcast is presented by OddsShark, and they are your source for the latest odds from leading authorities, expert editorial content, the hottest sports news, and detailed matchup picks. Are you looking for statistics and trends for an upcoming game? Well, guess what? OddsShark has that too, and it's free. In-depth expert analysis, odds, and trends to help you make the sharp game day picks. They got decades of stats in their databases, and their insiders give you takes so hot they sizzle. Your one-stop shop. I got to stop doing
it keeps getting more dramatic every
before you know, I'm just going to do the whole read like this. So they're your one-stop they're your one-stop shop for all your odds info on sports and pop culture events. Want to get a better understanding of the odds and the math behind the numbers, how the line is set, why the lines move during the week on the NFL odds list. OddsShark will give you all the tools you need. They are a proven industry powerhouse. OddsShark has info from around the globe, giving you the chance to access the best sports odds on the planet. Whether you want to check out tonight's football odds, this week's hockey or basketball trends, or anything in between, head on over to OddsShark and start thinking like a shark today. Go-to resource, man. Anytime we pull up our betting segment, we're getting all those numbers from OddsShark. And you got to go there, man. You got to make sure you're getting the best number.
And we practice what we preach here because we're using OddsShark today after we talk to Jesse. And when we're talking about the point spreads and the over-unders and all that stuff for NFL Week 3, we keep a close tab on OddsShark because those numbers, as y'all may know out there, they're changing constantly during the week. And if you're a serious bettor, you need to watch those changes and anticipate those changes.
Yeah, definitely, man. You don't, like we said before, the worst thing you could do is hit on a big bet and then realize you could have gotten a better number. You could have made even more money if you went to OddsShark. Compare and contrast the numbers a little bit. Yeah,
that's like buying a brand new big screen TV and thinking you got a good deal on it, and then you walk into Best Buy or Walmart or whatever, and you're like, shit, this same exact TV for $150 less.
I'm gonna be pissed.
You're not feeling so good at that point.
I'm knocking over some store models right at that point. I don't give a shit, But let's go ahead and get Jesse on the show. Our guest today is a four-time Super Bowl champion with the San Francisco 49ers. He's played with Joe Montana, Jerry Rice, Steve Young, Deion Sanders, Ronnie Lott. The list goes on and on. He's a two-time Pro Bowler and author of I Gave My Heart to San Francisco. While playing 14 seasons and 23 playoff games with the 49ers, he won the Ed Block Courage Award. He's also a two-time winner of the Bob McKittrick Award, the Gary Niver Award. Please welcome to the DNP-CD Sports Podcast, Jesse Sapolu.
All right, Jesse, it's been a few months since we last talked, and I know as a 49er fan, I have a few extra gray hairs because of the pressure that the 49ers were under in that game against the Lions toward the very end. That got a little hairy. Ooh, that was scary. And then even the Eagles game was a bit of a sweat too. What's kind of your overall assessment of the 49ers after these 2 weeks?
Well, I thought we played great in the first, 3.5 quarters against Detroit. You got to look at that. The shenanigans that happens, the 2 fumbles and loss of momentum, we were kind of a little careful about injuries, and we kind of took our foot off the pedal a little bit, but you can't blame the coach for doing that or the coaches. But the fact that we kind of locked it in, but those games happen. You hate it to end that way because I was walking around outside the house and then I had to come back in when I saw that Detroit was closing the gap a little bit. But it happens. What are the chances, Kittle would fumble? It was just a perfect bounce that was so hard to handle.
Yeah.
And then Debo, he doesn't fumble that ball, the game's over. But, you got to look at all the good things that Debo does for us, but you learn from those experiences. Yesterday, I think Philly is just a better team than they were last year. Mm-hmm. They have a quarterback that's mobile, and I think that gave us some problems. And I was a little surprised. He threw the deep ball pretty good. Obviously Jimmy wasn't as sharp as he was in Detroit to begin the game. But this is such a long journey. From my experiences, great teams win games when they're not at their best. Because you got to try to get to 10, 11, 12 wins to get into the playoffs. So we weren't at our best, and we played a team that scored 40 points the week before. And came, anytime you can go on the road and get 2 to start the season is a good thing. I'm more concerned about coming out of there unscathed. And for the most part, we had some concussions. I thought there was a dirty hit on the rookie that first came in.
Sermon. Yeah, it sure was.
Kind of a welcoming to the NFL type deal.
Yeah, no kidding. No kidding. Are you surprised that Trey Lance didn't play? Because I was watching the game, and at halftime, the halftime interviewer said, I talked to Kyle Shanahan. I asked him if Trey Lance was going to come in, and he said probably not. And I was kind of surprised because he got a little bit of action. He threw that touchdown pass week 1. Obviously, we're speculating here, and you're not talking to Kyle Daly or anything like that. But why do you think he might not bring in Trey Lance for that second game? That was odd to me.
Well, I think a lot of it has to do with the flow of the game. It's not perfect science. If we came out and the rhythm of our offense was better, like we did in Detroit, then you can fit in that little bit of that flexibility to change pace. But we were struggling from the beginning. I think our first 3 drives were 3 and out. So when you're trying to establish a rhythm offensively and the game is still tough at hand, I think it's important to stay with the guy that is going to get the majority of the snaps in this.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Jesse, I'm curious about a guy that's playing on the line this year. The 49ers, Daniel Brunskill. He's a very versatile lineman. He can play multiple positions. What are your thoughts on him playing at right guard there?
Well, I think you got to be thankful to him for filling those holes, because you remember a couple of years ago, the year we went to the Super Bowl, he had to fill in the first game of the year, and it was against the Rams and Aaron Donald. And it's a tough situation, and that's coming from me that moved all over the place too during my career. But do we want a guy that's just a right guard? Yeah, we do. But who knows? He might establish himself as that. Because if you remember my career, I was really a guard, and then when Randy Cross retired, I became a true center. So, but it takes a few years to really feel that way. But Bruns is doing a nice job filling in for us. But I think as he gets better, he might establish himself as that guard.
I think so too, man. He's cheap. He's got a cheap contract. He's versatile. Like you said, he saved them by moving a couple times. And I just think this guy's underrated and doesn't get enough appreciation because he's not a household name. And I love that you bring up Aaron Donald, because he, in my opinion, he plays above average against Aaron Donald, which is a big deal. I think he gives Aaron Donald trouble considering the fact that he's not a household name. Yeah, matchups. Yes, absolutely. For sure.
And I think we got to be appreciative of the young man. I'm hoping that he establishes a position because he deserves it. But in time, I think if he keeps playing and fights, he will establish that.
It's important to have guys like that on the line, though, isn't it? Every year now, with all the injuries and everything like that, you got to have a couple guys, 2 or 3 guys that can swing and play multiple positions, and that's invaluable to a team that has championship aspirations, right?
It is. And, you would love to have guys that are established at their position, and that's all they concentrate on. But the guys that are able to fill in with a quality performance, it's what separates teams that, you've seen teams that go 14-2 and then injuries happen, in the 15th game of the year, and they're not the same in the playoffs. And the playoffs is single elimination.
Mm-hmm.
You can't afford to lose. And you wonder why those teams lose. Well, they lose because they have an injury. And they can't find someone to fill in, during tournament time. So, yeah, it was tough for me because I was establishing myself as a starter at one position. But if I needed to move, it's all about the team.
Mm-hmm.
Jesse, something that wasn't around when you were playing was Pro Football Focus. You can turn on a game now and they're introducing the players and you'll see their PFF rank underneath their names. And it's kind of controversial. I've heard some people that love it and some people that are like, no, that's not an accurate assessment of how well someone's playing. When it comes to grading offensive linemen, do you personally put any stock into that? If someone is the Pro Football Focus 9th best player in the NFL in terms of offensive line, does that mean something to you personally?
Not really. I appreciate it to bring some attention to at least some of the linemen, but
yeah,
you have to look at the scheme. You have to look at what you're asked to do, and those people don't know that.
Mm-hmm.
They don't know that. The people that know that is your offensive line coach inside your meeting room and the head coach. But that's very, very important because some people that, like the years I went to the Pro Bowl, those weren't necessarily my highest graded years. And there's a lot of years I was an alternate because I moved back and forth. But I had some high years that I did get selected to the Pro Bowl. But we know that inside our meeting room, but the people that vote from the outside doesn't know that. So that's why I'm saying the most important thing is the grade that your offensive line gives.
That makes sense. Can you give me an example, Jesse? You said it comes down to scheme a lot. What would be an example where a Pro Football Focus person might grade someone good or bad, but because of the scheme or something that they're not aware of, they're actually missing something? Can you give an example of why a Pro Football Focus person might get the grade wrong?
Well, two different types of systems. The systems that the 49ers, we won all those Super Bowls with. Just to give an example, Bill Walsh loved boxing, right? Mm-hmm. And his style of coaching the 49ers was, we're the Muhammad Ali, Sugar Ray Leonard type of fighter. If you look at the records of those two athletes, they have as many knockouts as George Foreman, but they did it in a different style. They did it in an explosive amount of a lot of punches, beating your opponent to the punch, and then by the third quarter, we separate ourselves. Compared to when we played Dallas in the 90s, that came back with those big offensive linemen, and they have Emmitt Smith. They just wanted to maul you. That was their one knockout punch type of style. So when we draft the offensive linemen, when Bob McKittrick used to say it when we were watching film, and he sees, because we watch film of other teams playing the opponent that we're playing, and he would say things like, when you see a big offensive lineman that's an all-pro from another team, he says he can never play for me. He's not quick enough to do what I'm asked to do, but he is good enough for that team.
Yeah.
So that's why I say what really matters is the style and the scheme that the team needs to win, and the type. You hear this all the time. Well, you got to give a certain new coach a chance to get his players right. Mm-hmm. So. Bill Walsh was able to get his players the style that he wanted us to perform in. If you look at, and I joke around with people all the time, if you come and look at the warm-ups, it makes you wonder why the 49ers was the team, because we didn't look impressive in warm-ups. We were smaller than a lot of the teams we played against. But the style that was required was the type of athletes that we got.
I want to know about I know you keep close tabs on a Lions rookie, Penei Sewell, the left tackle there. I want to know what your assessment was of him in that game in the first 2 weeks, but especially that game against the 49ers in week 1. How did you think he did?
Well, first of all, I've been watching film of him at Oregon. And what Bosa said is exactly what I said. He just looked more comfortable at left tackle. Now, for his first game, I thought he did a great job. Now, saying that, they let the running back help a little bit to chip Bosa a little bit. They bring down the tight end in motion and chip him a little bit, and for good reason. It's his first game, but I felt like they could have just let him go by himself.
Oh wow,
because he's that polished of a technician. Mm-hmm. But I was proud of him and what he did. I'm glad that we won the game. But I thought for a first game, one time Bosa got him, because Bosa gets everybody. He's really good using his hands and every now and then fools you into ball rushing you back a little bit. And I thought Bosa got him that one time. But to leave the game saying that, what was Penei playing at? Which side? If you didn't notice it, that means he did a great job.
Oh,
so
good point.
We've seen when Bosa takes games over, but part of that was they schemed to chip Nick a little bit, which, like I said, I agree with that.
You got to.
But for his first game, I thought he did a pretty good job.
It's got to be difficult for you because we know you're incredibly fond of Penei and to watch it. I know you want the sack to come, but you want it to come from the other side, not his side, right?
Well, we get used to it. I mean, I love our Polynesian kids, but at the same time, I'm a 49er at heart. So just for that 1 week, let's go at it. But then after the game, I want him to do well the rest of the year.
Yeah.
Jesse, one thing that 49ers Twitter is talking about right now is everybody's ranting and raving and saying that Nick Bosa keeps getting held over and over, and the officials are not throwing the flags. And so would you agree with that assessment? I felt it in the 49ers Chiefs Super Bowl big time, but I'm also seeing it as I felt like, and I'm biased, right? You probably are a little bit too, but I felt like I saw a lot of holding against the Eagles that wasn't called, and I'm curious if you agree or not.
I agree in the Super Bowl. I mean, that hold when Tyreek Hill caught that long pass that changed the momentum of the game, that was a hold. Mm-hmm. But maybe I'm still salty about the game. But,
we all are, Jesse. It's okay.
But, there is just no way that an offensive lineman cannot hold those athletes that are coming forward, those best of the best in the world that are coming after the quarterback. The rule is if your hands is within side of the shoulders and the chest, right? So the problem that I have is when guys don't move their feet and starts pulling. That's pulling, But for us, for people to say we're not going to grip the guy, you have to grip him. It's impossible to stop those beasts coming after the quarterback. But you got to move your feet. And I've seen a lot of big offensive linemen not moving their feet and starts pulling, and get away with it. So, it's a compliment to Nick and his young career and what people are trying to do to him. And if D Ford is completely healthy, I think we're going to be even better going down the line.
I know Tony wants to get a prediction from you for the 49ers season going forward. I want to ask you about the next couple of games because you got a tough slate here coming up before the next 3 weeks before the bye week. You got the Packers next week on Sunday Night Football. Then you got two interdivisional matchups with the Seahawks and the Cardinals. I want to get your assessment. We're going to find out a lot more about this team in the next 3 weeks, aren't we?
Yeah, we are. There's just no way around it. We happen to be in a tough division. We don't have a cheap ticket to get in the playoffs, but that's a mindset that you got to have. You shouldn't want to have it any other way. Now, with Green Bay, I think one of the things that we have against Green Bay is the mental edge. The last couple meetings. There's a memory that, and it's not like it was against a different quarterback. It was against the guy that's coming in. So I think if we establish a line of scrimmage with our D-line, establish a line of scrimmage with our O-line, now I think, most are being hurt kind of really hurt us a little bit. But hopefully our young men, the young running backs that we have can team up and do what we did to Green Bay, the last 2 times we played them. So it is a tough matchup. Anytime you go up against Aaron Rodgers, where he had a bad first week, you you can never count how skilled and how talented he is. Now, I'm hoping that his mind is not completely healed with whatever problems he had with the front office before he gets to us. But yeah, you're right. We got a 3-game stretch that's going to test us a little bit, but I think it's good. You know, I mean, you look at Tampa last year. They were at one point, you know, they were like 7-6.
7-5, I believe it was.
Yeah. 7-5. Well, that reminds me of Super Bowl 23. You know, we were 6-5.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
People wrote us off. Yeah. You know, so there's different ways of going about it. There's teams like I was part of in 1984, and there's a team in 1990 or 89 that just kind of dominated from the beginning to the end. But then there's special teams that you get hot and you have the talent to run the table. So we'll see where we're at, but I think I'm more afraid of injuries than anything else.
Yeah,
I think our guys play hard. We execute in tough situations, so I feel good going in.
Jesse, for people who didn't see our last interview with you, man, you told us so many good stories. You told us that Merton Hank story that I still laugh about. Sometimes I'm laying in bed and I just think about that and I just start cracking up. You told us the great story about Joe and Roger calling you on the phone, you know, when you were holding out, Roger Craig and Joe Montana.
The Super Bowl story, which is hilarious too.
So many, man. You told us.
Yeah, that was hilarious.
That was the Merton Hank story. That was hilarious. Drinking with Eddie DeBartolo. So we'd be remiss if we didn't ask you if you have any stories that you haven't shared yet on our last episode that you might be able to bless us with, because I tell people, I say, man, Jesse Sapolu is one of the best storytellers out there as well, for sure. Your delivery and everything, man, still cracks me up. We had a highlight reel actually of our show, and you're in it like 20 times because you gave us so much good material, man, for sure.
Well, you know, it's funny because right after our show, the last time, Merton Hank started liking my things. You know?
Tell him to come on. We say we want to hear his side too.
So obviously he remembers that part of it. But,
that's funny.
You know, I mean, it's funny. We just played Philly, you know, and I don't know if you heard. The year it was a dominant year. 1989. You know, we played Philly, and they had a young defensive line, Jerome Brown, Reggie White, you know, Pitts. They had like 3 all-pro guys on the D-line. And we were coming off Super Bowl 23, so we were the defending champions. They had a quarterback named Randall McDaniel. Yeah. And that was pretty good. So we went to Philadelphia. You know how loud Philadelphia can be. And they came after us. And I think they sacked Joe like 4 or 5 times in the first half. To the point where after the game, our offensive line coach, Bob McKittrick, got up in front of the team on Monday and apologized on behalf and apologized on behalf of the whole line. Because Joe ended up getting sacked like 7 times in the whole game. But so they kicked our behinds for like 2.5 quarters. Like they were up by 24.
Damn.
Wow.
And the funny story is on Thursdays every week, 4 of us O-linemen, we go to Bible study. Right? And Harris Barton, the right tackle, he's Jewish. So, you know, Bob McKittrick walked up to us, you know, at the end of the third quarter and looked at 4 of us and said, "You guys better pray to Jesus." To the 4 of us. And he looked at Harris Barton and he said, "You better say a Jewish prayer." You know, and the thing is, we exploded for 34 points.
Oh, wow.
And won that game by 10 points.
Damn.
You know.
Wow.
So, but, you know, and I tell my son this, my son who's an O-line coach at Fresno State, I share stories with him. They had a big win over UCLA.
Yeah, they did. I saw that game.
Congrats.
That was a big win.
So I share stories with him on how to overcome. You know, and, you know, when Fresno State played Oregon, they had the lead in the fourth quarter, and then they play UCLA teams they're not favored against. I tell them, son, you know, we were the Alabama of the NFL.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm going to take it to you. I'm going to give it to you from our approach.
Nice.
I said the teams that bothered us the most are the teams that played hard for 60 minutes. that never disappears, because we were the team that we were kind of like a field goal or a touchdown ahead before the game even started because of our reputation.
Yeah.
So I said to him, so a lot of the times you see college games and you look up on the scoreboard and some team is leading the team that's supposed to be favored.
Mm-hmm.
And then they show the highlights again in the second half. The team that was supposed to be favored, that was trailing, all of a sudden stopped blowing them out. I'd say it's such a strong mindset. And I told him that game against Philadelphia, they came at us because they wanted to prove themselves against the defending champions, but we played for 60 minutes. Did we get our ass whooped in the first half? Yes, we sure did. But we didn't. We played 60 minutes. We executed for 60 minutes. And so, and the thing about it, so after Bob McKittrick apologized to the team on Monday, apologized to Joe and the team on Monday, and we split up to position meetings, Joe peeked his head inside our room and says, I throw interceptions. Shit happens.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I trust you guys. So you tell me how that makes me feel as an offensive lineman.
Wow.
What would I do for that guy?
What a great story of Joe Montana's leadership.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And that's why Joe was so beloved. He was just one of the guys, and we had a lot of battles that we come back in the last, Super Bowl 23. Right? When you have those things happen and you trust the bus driver, you're going to win a lot of games, because when you look at physicality, like Jacksonville, right? They pick first. The teams that don't have winning records always pick first. So it's not like they don't have the talent. It's just establishing a mindset to believe together as a group that you're going to win, And if you look at the 49er dynasty guys, Charles Haley's from James Madison. Jerry Rice is from Mississippi Valley. I'm from Hawaii. John Taylor's from Delaware State. You tell me which of those teams come close to playing in a college playoffs.
Right. None.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Wow.
But it was a mindset that was established. It was a system that was established by Bill Walsh on how we do things. I just posted this morning, something that just came to my mind, that Bill Walsh had the saying that, champions behave like champions before they become champions. You start practicing the habits of becoming a champion. So I try to help my son with that kind of stuff.
Nice.
I stay away from the scheme stuff, but I try to help him with technique and stuff that I see and let him be his own man. So, but that's a story about since we just played Philadelphia doesn't have the D-line now that they did then.
No Reggie White on the other side.
No Reggie White. But the thing that I'm most proud about is the very next year we went back to Philadelphia and we ran the ball for 220 yards.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. We got smarter. We're not going to just throw.
Yeah. We ain't going to put Joe back there. Yeah.
Yeah, we pounded the ball, and then Joe had a great game because they couldn't just tee off because they couldn't stop the run. So those are the great memories of my career.
That's awesome. Jesse, thank you so much for your time. Anybody listening out there, make sure you follow him on Twitter at Jesse Sapolu. This is our second show with him, and I feel like we could talk to you for hours, man. You are an incredible resource, and we're so grateful that you've come on the show twice now. Thank you so much for the time.
Yeah,
we appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
And make sure you tell Roman we said congratulations. That was a big win. They've had a really good season so far. They played Oregon really tough, who's arguably one of the top teams in the country right now, and then they just took it to UCLA this weekend, a big upset I think they were 11.5-point dogs in that game. So that's a big win. We'd like to get him on sometime when the season's over, man. And pick his brain as well.
I'll just let me know and I'll talk to him about that.
Awesome.
I appreciate it, guys. Thanks,
Jesse.
So much.
We really appreciate
you're the
it.
best. Thank you so much, man.
Thanks, buddy.
Take care.
All right, Tony, let's take a quick second to tell everybody about BetterHelp. We're proud to announce that the DNP-CD Sports podcast is now sponsored by BetterHelp. That's BetterHelp. Is there something interfering with your happiness or is preventing you from achieving your goals? Like I've said before, man, I think that so many people should be going to therapy. A lot of people kind of neglect that part of their lives. They work out, they're running, they're eating right. You don't understand that mental health is so important as well. And I think that now that it's becoming less taboo to talk about, people are starting to seek out these services. And BetterHelp, we're super happy to be partnering with them. BetterHelp will assess your needs and match you with your own licensed professional therapist. You can start communicating in under 48 hours, just 2 days to stand in the way between you and a better version of yourself. It's not a crisis line. It's not self-help. It's professional therapy done securely online.
Yeah, and there's a broad ranges of expertises that are available, which may not be available locally to you. And so, there might be a therapist that specializes in divorce. There might be a therapist that specializes in working with veterans. So it's not sort of a one-size-fits-all approach. So you can look forward to that. The service is available worldwide, so it doesn't matter where you are. You can log into your account anytime and send a message to your therapist. You'll get a timely, thoughtful response. Plus, you can schedule weekly video or phone sessions, and you won't have to sit in an uncomfortable waiting room as with traditional therapy.
Yeah, BetterHelp is committed to facilitating great therapeutic matches, so they make it easy and free to change therapists if needed. It's more affordable than traditional offline therapy, and financial aid is available. BetterHelp, that's H-E-L-P, wants you to start living a happier life today.
All right. And you can visit their website and read their testimonials that are posted on there daily. I know that for me, whenever I try a new service or I buy a new product, I want to hear from the people that have actually utilized that service. So I've got a couple pulled up here that I want to read from you. These are actual users of BetterHelp. One person says, for the short time we've known each other, Tamara, who's her therapist, Tamara has been a positive influence in my life. She is so kind, non-judgmental, and I feel so at ease with her. I highly recommend her, 2 exclamation points. Another person says,
that's when you know it's serious.
Dude, that's no joke right there.
One, it's just like, she was all right.
You can
2,
tell with the
like,
punctuation.
I'm going to invite this girl to a barbecue is what she's saying, basically. It's big time.
Next person says, Roselle is very kind and professional. She really listens to what I have to say and what my concerns are and reacts with quality advice. She responds to messages quickly and is always willing to make scheduling work. So there's people bragging about how wonderful of listeners they are, how flexible they are. The folks over at BetterHelp are incredible. And you can visit betterhelp.com/DNP. That's betterhelp.com/DNP and join over 1 million people who have taken charge of their mental health with the help of an experienced professional.
Yeah, as I've said before, man, I see a therapist every Thursday, man. It's one of the best things I've ever done. What's great about this is in 48 hours, you can be talking to a therapist. So you're only 2 days away from working on your mental health, from getting better, from experiencing a new life. And it's so important, man, because everybody struggles with things. It's no longer taboo to talk about this stuff, as we know. Everyone's going through struggles, whether you lost someone, you have a friend or family member die, you're going through a divorce, like we said, even if you lost your dog or your cat or something like that, that stuff's hard, man. It's hard being a human being. And so it's not taboo to talk about. And the only thing that's wrong is if you don't get help. You know what I mean? It's so very important. You got to check this out.
Especially these days, a lot of people are feeling extra isolated because of, where the economy's at, because of social distancing, and they're not able to interact with as many people as they'd like. So it's an especially important time to be taking care of our mental health preventatively. Yeah.
BetterHelp is getting super popular too. In fact, so many people have been using BetterHelp that they are recruiting additional therapists in all 50 states. What's awesome is that we have a special offer for our listeners. You can get 10% off your first month if you go to BetterHelp. That's HELP.com/DNP, as in did not play. You're going to get 10% off your first month of therapy, dude. That's awesome.
Yeah, man. We like saving people money on this show.
Yeah.
Usually in the gambling sense.
Yeah.
Usually in the shopping around of the number sense. But in this sense, we like saving you money as well. And you get great mental health help as well, which is awesome.
Yeah, it's super important, man. And what's great is that you'll be doing this in less than 2 days, man. You do it weekly, however often you feel is necessary. They'll be able to accommodate your schedule. And it's great, man. You don't have to leave your house. That's what's awesome.
You can be in your pajamas in bed having this conversation with your therapist. That's pretty sweet.
Yeah, you just got like a little snack plate waiting on you. As soon as you get done, you get to eating, turn the Monday Night Football game on, do whatever you got to do, man. But you don't have to leave the house. No traffic, sitting in traffic, worried about getting a car accident, any of that stuff. As we said before, waiting in the stuffy waiting rooms, with all these people coming out half crying, wondering what's wrong with them and stuff like that. Got people judging you. You get to do this at your house. It's awesome, man.
Yeah, for sure.
So make sure you go to BetterHelp. That's betterhelp.com/DNP. And you're going to get 10% off your first month of therapy.
All right, the moment many of you have been waiting for. We're going to talk about some Week 3 NFL betting action. Right now, I want to start with the Thursday night game, we've got Carolina 7.5-point favorites at Houston. Chad, I'm curious what you think about this Thursday night game. A couple things to keep in mind. We don't know if Tyrod Taylor is going to be playing for Houston or not. If he doesn't, Davis Mills is going to be the starting quarterback. So that's something to keep in mind as well. I don't think I'm going to touch this game pre-flop. I don't like Thursday night football games. And so there's just too much unpredictableness. I've been burned too many times, frankly, on Thursday night games in the past. So I don't think I'm going to touch this pre-flop and maybe leave my options open for betting live. What do you think, man?
Dude, this is a wolf of a game once again. I think Thursday night football is like the Make-A-Wish for NFL teams, man. Let's be honest, because it's always like these shitty teams. I know it gets a little bit better. I looked at the schedule. It gets a little bit better in a few weeks, but the first couple of weeks, man, we got Washington and the Giants. You got Texans, Panthers this week. You got Jags and Bengals next week. This is totally like the Make-A-Wish.
Yeah.
For the NFL schedule makers, man. This is the only time they want to be on prime time. They're like, hey, I guess we can put you on Thursdays. We got nothing else available, you know? So, yeah, man, I don't know. I would obviously, I would say I can see why Carolina is a 4.5-point favorite.
7.5.
Oh, are they really 7.5?
Yeah.
Oh, they opened at 4.5. My bad. Okay,
yeah.
so it's gone all the way up to 7.5. Yeah, I can see that, you know, but I'll be honest, man. This is at Houston. So the Texans played the Browns this week, and they showed a little bit of life, man. I'm not gonna lie.
That first quarter, I was heavy on the Browns, and I was sweating a little bit that first quarter. It looked to me, I was texting my friend, and I said, it looks like the Texans are just playing harder than the Browns.
Yeah, I think they were.
And that changed pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Tell me if you disagree with this. I think we're learning the Texans, when Taylor's healthy, they may not be one of the worst 3 or 4 teams in the league.
Yeah, I mean, I could totally see that for sure. I mean, I think that it's weird because they seem like they might be well coached, which is crazy, you know? Because I got a little bone to pick with David Culley here about this Browns-Texans game.
I think I know what it is.
I'm sure you do. So 3rd and 15.
Yep, all right? This is it.
3rd and 15, right? They go for it. Obviously, they don't go. They run a play. They don't get the first down.
14 yards.
14 yards, right? And then so they end up getting a penalty on the Browns. I think it was offsides on the Browns. There was a couple offsides penalties on the Browns in the game. So it's 4th and 10. Or it's going to be 4th and 1. 4th and 1.
Yep.
Okay. Could have went for it or could have accepted the penalty and had another opportunity at
3rd and 10.
The 3rd and 10.
Yep.
Which is totally doable. It's not 3rd and 40. You know what I'm saying? It's 3rd and 10. Teams pick that up all the time. And decides to punt the ball instead. Decides to take 4th and 1 instead of 3rd and 10 and punts the ball. What the hell are you doing, dude?
Makes no sense.
What are you doing?
You know, you could argue it's actually a tough choice between 4th and 1 and 3rd and 10 to go for it.
Yeah,
That's a tough choice.
That's what
right?
I thought he was deciding.
Yeah.
And I thought, okay, he's going to go for it. And they go, decline the penalty. I'm like, okay, they're going for it. And then I see the punt team come out, and I was like, they're not dumb enough to fake a punt when they, in this situation, right? They punted the ball. I'm like, what the hell is going on, dude?
He had 2 reasonable choices, and then he chose something that wasn't even on the damn menu.
And I wouldn't have been mad at either of the choice. If you go for it on 4th and 1, or if you run a play at 3rd and 10, I understand both of them. I probably went with 4th and 1 and just try to get a yard. But yeah, it was unbelievable.
He walked into a bar. He essentially walked into a bar, and they said, "Do you want wine or beer?" And he said, "I'll have Kool-Aid."
Yeah.
He picked something that wasn't even
on the menu.
Like nowhere near the realm of possibilities. I've never seen that before.
Yeah.
I've been watching football my whole life. I'm 36. I've never seen that before. That was bizarre.
Yeah, that was crazy as hell, man.
Yeah.
That definitely doesn't endear him to his players. But let's just get rid of this game as fast as possible. 7.5. I think that's way too many points. I would take Houston there.
Yeah, I'm going to stay away from it. I respect your Houston choice. One quick note, Carolina's 3-0 straight up and against the spread versus Houston the last 3 times they faced each other. Next game up, we got Arizona, 7.5-point favorites at Jacksonville. I think this is going to be a popular survivor pool pick for a lot of people. The over-under in this game is 51.5, and considering that high-powered offense in Arizona, I think that's worth looking into for sure. So when the lines come out every week, Chad, I don't know if you knew this, but what I do is I make my own lines before the lines come out, and then I see what they are, and where there's a difference, those are kind of the lines that I attack.
Okay.
So when this came out, I had this as a 9.5
I can see
point
that.
game for Arizona. It actually came out at 7 and went up to 7.5. And so I think that number is going to continue to rise. I think that by game time, it's going to be closer to my 9.5, which I actually thought it was going to be. So yeah, I like Arizona here, and I like the over. I'll tell you what, Kyler Murray, he looks like an MVP.
Yeah,
I mean, the numbers
good.
that he's putting up, and it's not just the numbers, he looks great. He's a legitimate MVP candidate. Check out prop bets for Kyler Murray winning MVP, because if the Cardinals win, go to the playoffs, and he keeps doing what he's doing, he is absolutely in that conversation.
Yeah, I can totally see that. Yeah, 7.5. It's going to go up to probably 9.5. You said
that's my guess. Yeah.
I don't like touching those types of games, man. You know what I mean? But I can definitely see Arizona putting up a lot of points, and definitely I can see them covering that. But I'll go ahead and take Arizona in that if we're picking here.
Yep, we're both on Arizona. All right, next up we got Indianapolis at Tennessee. Tennessee just upset Seattle. Not a lot of people saw that coming, except me. I saw that shit coming. Tennessee's a 5-point favorite. Interesting with these two teams playing the last 6 times they've played each other. The road team is 5-1 ATS in these contests, so that trend favors Indy a little bit if you're into trends.
But is Carson Wentz going to be healthy? That's going to be a question we're probably going to ask for the next 14 or 15 weeks.
Carson Wentz has 2 injured ankles.
Yeah.
He has a high ankle sprain on one ankle and then a generic ankle sprain on the other. And you and I predicted that on our last show. We said he's playing the tough Rams defense. And he might not last this whole game, and he didn't.
And it was Aaron Donald that took him out of the game too, just as we predicted.
Yeah,
pretty much.
Exactly.
So,
ridiculous. And so here's the thing with Wentz. He is tough because he's played through injuries, but he's fragile.
Yeah.
And so there's a difference there between, being fragile and being susceptible to injuries, and not being tough and not willing to play through them. He's tough, but he just keeps breaking, man. He's like Ken Griffey Jr. Some of these athletes, for whatever reason, just keep breaking down. And that is certainly the case with Wentz.
You need to eat some more vegetables. That's
for
what
real.
it is.
For real.
Stop eating all that red meat. I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. But 5, I don't know what the story is with Carson Wentz just yet. I would take Tennessee in that cover.
Yeah, if Wentz plays, I like the road divisional dog here getting the 5 points. If Wentz doesn't play, I'm not going to touch it at all.
Yeah.
Before we move on to our next game, Chargers at Chiefs, I got a really interesting stat here about the Jaguars that I meant to mention when we were just talking about them. The Jaguars do not have a rush attempt inside the opponent's 20-yard line this whole fucking season.
What the hell?
After 2 games.
Wow.
They have not run the ball. I mean, one, they haven't been down there a whole lot, right? But the play calling apparently is all passes the rare times they do get down there. That's a wild stat, dude. That's crazy.
Urban Meyer just too busy looking at Tang he's looking at all them cheerleaders. He's just looking at Tang the whole game, not even paying attention. He's like, what is 4th and 12? They're like, motherfucker, it is 3rd and 6. What are you talking about?
I tell you what, there are rumors too, by the way, unconfirmed rumors that he's rubbing the players the wrong way.
Oh, yeah.
And so that's I like when locker rooms are in turmoil, man. I like to take advantage of that in football. It's a team sport.
Yeah.
I know it's a little bit of a cliche, but it's the truth, man. It's a team sport. And when you're not all on the same page, that's trouble.
I don't see him lasting long there. I've seen some video and everything like that of when he was at Ohio State. He ran that like a military program.
Yeah.
You can't do that in the NFL. These guys are making more money than you. They don't give a damn about your college football championships and shit like that when you were paying players. You know what I'm saying? They don't give a damn about that. These are NFL players. You know what I mean? There's more talent on this Jacksonville team than he's ever seen in his life. They're not going to play that shit
100%.
for much longer. So
couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
Next up, we've got Chargers at Chiefs. The Chiefs are 6.5 or 7-point favorites, depending on where you're looking on oddshark.com. Chargers are 6-3 ATS in their last 9 games against Kansas City. I absolutely love the Chargers with the points here. This is way, way, way too many points. Everybody, you see the Chiefs, you get excited because you know about that high-powered offense. The Chiefs have a habit of winning a lot of games, but not covering the spread.
Yeah, they're close because their defense is atrocious.
Yep.
Yeah, and so we saw that in the Sunday night game last week against Baltimore. I think that this is my opinion. What I think the blueprint is to beat the Chiefs is. We talked about it a little bit last week when they played the Browns.
Yep.
You can't punt more than 2 or 3 times in a game, and I think that's totally realistic. I think a lot of teams are going to put up 30 to 35 points a game on them this year. So I think what it is you just you spread the ball out, you move the ball, you run the ball, you wear that defense down. And then in the third and fourth quarter, you just hope that the Chiefs make a mistake, whether it's an interception, whether it's a fumble like we saw from Clyde Edwards-Helaire, drop passes, something like. You just hope to stop them once in the fourth quarter, and you've got the ball. There was a time in that game against Baltimore when they were down by 11, I believe, and they could have made it 18.
Mm-hmm.
And I was thinking to myself, this game's still not over. If they get one stop, it's right back. They just make they're two mistakes away from being down because their defense can't stop anybody. They're a sieve, and we're going to see that continue this year. They don't spend any money on that defense, or if they have, they're just not coached well enough. But it's going to be a problem this year. They're going to be in a lot of 38-35 shootouts for the rest of the season. And I'm going to be honest with you, I'm going to see them losing 4 or 5 games this year, I think. And that's crazy. I know a lot of people probably think that's crazy talk, but the way that defense is played, they can't stop anybody, and they're not going to. Teams are going to put up 30 to 40 points a game against them this year.
Chad, I think the Chiefs could lose this week. I know they're home.
Yeah.
I think the Chargers are absolutely live in this game. I love them with the points because I love the possibility of a backdoor cover. But you said it, man. Their defense is a struggle, and they've got 2 rookies on their offensive line, and then a third offensive lineman is practically a rookie because he opted out with COVID. So they essentially have 3 first-year players on that offensive line. Oh yeah, who do the Chargers have at defensive end? Some guy named Joey Bosa.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah, not bad.
They got a good defense too. They held that Dallas Cowboys high octane offense in check a little bit Sunday as well. Our guy Austin Eckler's there having a pretty good start to the season and everything.
Real good.
I could see them. I can definitely see the Chargers covering this and also probably winning the game, honestly. I know a lot of people might think that's crazy, but I think the Chiefs are we're going to find out a lot about this team. And are they one of the best offenses in the NFL? Of course, yeah. Sure. If not the best, they're 2 or 3. But that defense is so terrible. They got to keep scoring. God forbid if they have any injuries to their wideouts and their top receivers like Kelsey or Tyreek Hill. Obviously, you don't want that to happen. But I would not be surprised whatsoever if the Chargers win this game, and I can see a lot of problems for Kansas City in the future if they don't get that defense fixed, because that's just not sustainable to win games 38-35 every week.
Yep. I'm definitely going to put a little bit of a sprinkle on the Chargers money line there. Nothing serious, but just a little bit of a sprinkle. Yeah. And you've been warned. Do not take Kansas City in your survivor pools out there, folks. I think it's a dangerous game, and there's a lot better opportunities out there. It's getting
to the point where they just haven't focused on defense enough, and it's like a coin flip.
Yep.
Because it comes down to who has the ball last. If they can play mistake-free football in the fourth quarter, and God forbid they come out and have one of these games where they turn the ball over 3 or 4 times, they're going to get their ass beat.
Right.
Because these teams are not going to stop scoring on them. They're not going to start sitting on the ball. You can run the ball against these guys. You can throw the ball against these guys. You can pressure them with Mahomes. They better hope he stays healthy too, because as you mentioned, essentially 3 new offensive linemen there, not looking great.
And let me tell you, Kansas City, I know they're not the defending Super Bowl champions because they lost in the Super Bowl, but they've got a target on their back.
Yep.
Everybody in the AFC has a target on their back.
Yep.
Has a target on the Chiefs' back. And tell me the Chargers haven't been studying the Chiefs' weaknesses all offseason. And now this is their first time to attack that game plan. And so I think the Chargers are going to put up a good fight for sure.
Divisional rival. They want to make sure, they want to establish that they're a new team on the block. They got Herbert. They got Austin Eckler in there. They got some good weapons, and their defense looked pretty damn good last week too. That's going to be a great game. I can't wait to watch that one.
Yeah, for sure. Next up, we've got Washington at Buffalo. Buffalo is a 9 or 9.5 point favorite, depending on where you look. A couple things to keep in mind here. Washington has extra rest because they played that Thursday game where they got pretty lucky, if you ask me, against the Giants. Buffalo 7-1 ATS in their last 8 games. That's 7-1 against the spread their last 8 games against Washington. Who do you like here, Chad?
Dude, so Buffalo looked a lot better last week, obviously, after they beat the hell out of Miami 35-0, I believe the score was. A lot of people were jumping off that bandwagon after that Pittsburgh Steelers
You and
loss.
Me included. I thought the Dolphins were going to cover.
I thought they were too, and I was only about 39 points away from that happening. But so don't listen to my dumb ass. But I don't know. That's a large spread, but it looks like maybe Buffalo might be, hey, they had a little hiccup the first game. Maybe they're catching back on, hitting their stride from last year. And 9 points, that's a large spread. And I don't think Washington's that terrible of a team, but I would take Buffalo in this, honestly. I would still take Buffalo.
Yeah, if you put a gun to my head, I would take Washington, but I'm not going to touch this game. We'll see if the legend of Taylor Heineke continues.
Some big-ass spreads in week 3.
Yeah, no kidding. There sure are.
There's a lot of big spreads.
Yeah, another one coming up, good size at least. Chicago at Cleveland. Mm-hmm. Cleveland goes off They're laying 7.5 points as a home team against Chicago. Favorites in this series, the last 6 times these two teams have played, the favorite covers the spread 5 out of the last 6 times in this matchup. So that trend favors Cleveland here. This is your team, Chad. What do you think, man?
I don't think we looked great last week against Houston, but in the NFL, it's just about you just win. You just every week it's like a survivor pool. You just got to win. It doesn't matter what the hell the score is. Everyone would love to win 35-0 like Buffalo did against Miami this week. That's just not going to happen. Houston came in there. They did a lot of really good things. Thank God Tyrod Taylor didn't finish the game because we might have been in some trouble, to be honest with you.
For real.
I'm not sold on that as Cleveland at 7.5, man. That's a big spread. I know it's at home, but our defense hasn't really been able to stop anybody. They've letting teams off the hook in some crucial third downs. If they could get off the field in some of those third downs, maybe these games aren't as close as they have been. They would have beat the Chiefs 2 weeks ago had they been able to get off the field on third down. I think that's too large of a spread, although I do think I would put some money down on Cleveland on the money line. I'm not comfortable saying they're going to cover 7.5, though.
Yeah, you and I are really on the same page here because I'm not touching that point spread, but it's my favorite teaser game of the week. We teased that down 7 points. If you guys watch this show, you know I love teasers. We hit a big teaser for y'all on week 1. Week 2, we lost because TJ Watt, I'm just making excuses here, TJ Watt got hurt, and we taped the show before we knew that, Devin Bush and Hayden were going to be out.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I didn't know that. Yeah,
so what I recommended was Cincy +8 and then the Steelers to win the game in that teaser. The Bengals came through as predicted, just like I said with backdoor Burrow. Backdoor Joey backdoor coming through.
And that doesn't mean he likes butt, folks. It's a common misconception. I made the mistake last week. It doesn't mean he likes butt. It's just that he covers the spread at the end of the game.
Exactly.
I found that out the hard way. It's crazy. Yeah.
So we're 1-1 on our teaser predictions so far. I would argue we should be 2-0 if it wasn't for unfortunate injuries there. So this week, first leg, I like teasing Cleveland down 7 points. So they've just got to win the game. Just like you're saying, Chad, man, it's essentially a money line bet there. So yeah, we both like Cleveland to win the game, but not necessarily to cover. Mm-hmm. This next one's interesting, man. Atlanta at the Giants. The Giants are 3-point favorites. What in the hell have the New York Giants done to be 3-point favorites against anybody this year? And I know Atlanta's not a great team. Atlanta. I get that.
That's why.
But quick little story, man. On Twitter before the season started, I threw out the Jags, Houston, the Giants, and the Lions. And I said, who's the worst team in the NFL before the league started? And some guy started mouthing off and he's like, the Giants should be nowhere on that list. The Giants are not one of the worst teams in the NFL.
They are.
So as soon as the Giants lost, I saved my receipts, folks.
Yeah.
As soon as the Giants lost to Washington and officially had the worst record in the NFL at 0-2, I retweeted it. And I said, hey man, let's talk about this. I never heard a response.
Yeah, I'm sure. He's probably like sitting on a bench outside the Empire State Building drinking a 40. Not fucking giving a shit. Yeah. They're a terrible team, and this is going to be the last year that we see Daniel Jones as a starter. You can book that unless he's backing up somebody that gets injured in the future. He is not a starting quarterback in this league. Maybe he's got terrible coaching, which is totally a possibility in New York. I don't feel like they're coached very well. I'm not sold on Judge whatsoever.
Agreed.
I almost want to call him Mike Judge, creator of Beavis and Butthead. but Joe Judge, he act like Beavis and Butthead on the sideline and shit. Acting like Hank Hill over there, like a dumbass. But honestly, I would take Atlanta here. I mean, I know it's at New York, but I just don't. I haven't seen anything from Daniel Jones to make me believe that he's going to. He's a better quarterback than Matt Ryan. I understand that's not how the game is played out exclusively, but I would take Atlanta here. 3 points, that seems like a lot to me for a New York team.
Yeah, for real. And I would say when I did my point spread, this was a pick'em game for me. Mm-hmm. And so if I thought it was a pick'em and you're going to give me 3 points with Atlanta, I love that. I love Atlanta +3. I love Atlanta on the money line for sure.
Yeah.
Interesting little number here. Since 2000, the under in this series has hit 10 of the last 12 times. The total in this game is 48.5. So if you're into trends, hitting the under might be something to look at here.
That's such a shitty matchup. I'm surprised it's not a Thursday night game. I'll be honest.
No kidding, man. If there were 2 Thursday night games, that would be it.
I'm surprised that's not a double header. Like, we got a double header clunker of a shit matchups for you
guys. Seriously. All right, next we got Cincy at Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's laying 4.5 points in this game. For me, this is all going to come down to injuries. Mm-hmm. We saw, like I alluded to, Devin Bush, TJ Watt, and Joe Hayden all hurt with groin injuries, by the way.
Yeah.
When's the last time you saw 3 star players on one defense all out with groin injuries, which is just weird. And if I start seeing wrist injuries come out of Pittsburgh as well, wrist and groin injuries at the same time, that's going to be really concerning for me.
Dog, they need to hit up Robert Kraft and see if he's got a groin specialist he can hook him up with. I'm sure he's got a couple on speed dial.
Oh, goodness gracious.
He just keeps them under his employ now. He ain't going down to no strip mall in Miami no more. That shit damn near fucked up his career, man. He ain't doing that shit. But yeah, dog, Pittsburgh, hit up Robert Kraft. He's not that far away. I'm sure you could get on. He's like a 45-minute plane ride away. You can hit him up, find out who his groin and wrist specialist is. You know, that's why Robert Kraft don't have wrist problems. He don't got to do nothing. He just lays there. Shit.
Oh,
but I'm going to go out on a limb here, dude. I'm going to take Cincinnati with that. I don't think TJ Watt's going to play this week. And if he does, I think he's going to be limited. He just signed that big contract. They're not going to want to put him in harm's way. I know that's a division matchup. But this early in the season, week 3, they're not going to want to put him out there after he just signed that big ass contract. He's going to in my opinion, he's most likely going to sit. And I think Cincinnati that's 4.5, man. I think they can cover that. I'm not saying they're going to win the game, but I think it'll be a 2-3 point game.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. At 4.5, man, we're not disagreeing a whole lot today.
I've been cheating and reading your notes and shit. I feel like I was
at 4.5. I think it's worth a swing right now, not knowing if these guys are going to play, to take a swing at this point in time. If all 3 of those guys were to play, which I don't think is going to happen, I still don't love Pittsburgh. I just probably wouldn't bet Cincy at that point, But again, I think it's worth a shot. Baltimore, 7.5 point favorites at Detroit.
Well, that's what it opened at. It's at 9.5 now.
Oh wow. Okay, thank you. It's gone from 7.5 to 9.5 pretty quickly. Yeah, it looks like that move started to happen Monday morning.
Yeah.
Baltimore off that incredible win against the Chiefs.
That's probably why it moved.
Yeah, no doubt about it. The Ravens are 3-0 ATS against Detroit in their last 3 games. I just don't think Detroit has anybody to stop Lamar Jackson. I think he's going to have his way with the Lions here. What do you think, Chad?
I think 9.5 is a big ass spread, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think the Lions are going to be. We talked about backdoor Burrow. I think it's going to be. The Detroit Lions are going to be a backdoor team this year. I think they're a team that's not going to quit because Dan Campbell obviously commands respect and the players like him. I think he coaches to play to the whistle, to play to the clock hits 000s. I think they're going to be a team that you could probably see like getting outclassed in the first half, the first 3 quarters, but then coming back, still fighting, and then being able to cover once all the the starters and everything are out. But 9.5, that's a and then them coming off the Monday night game. So. Dude, I'm going to take Detroit here to cover. I'm ready to keep that within 9.5 points. I think they can do that at home.
I think if you like Baltimore, the time has passed. So when this line came out at 7.5, I bought a half point and I took the Ravens just for a medium-sized bet. I took the Ravens at -7. So I'm okay teasing this down. I think this is actually a great tease to go along with the Browns. So there's the teaser pick of the week right there, folks. Browns and Baltimore tease down. Even with Baltimore at 9.5, you're still getting under that key number of 3, which is really important. Statistically in the NFL, 15% of games end by exactly 3 points. So you really want to get underneath that 3. It's super important.
50%?
15%. 15%. Okay. Yep. 15% are decided by 3 points. And then I believe 7 points, 10% of games are decided by 7. So, which is why when I give these teaser recommendations, I want you guys to tease through the 3 and through the 7 because you're knocking out 25% of games that end in exactly those numbers. And so that's so important. So anyways, don't like the Ravens at 9.5. Love the Ravens tease down, and I got them at -7.
Yeah.
We got New Orleans at New England. I think this is going to be one of the more interesting games of the week because one of these two coaches are going to be 1-2.
Which would be crazy because who thought that? I mean, I kind of thought that with New Orleans coming into the season. I mean, I guess I actually thought about both teams. I didn't really think they were going to be like fantastic this year. But New Orleans looked like shit last week. They didn't look too good.
That's true. After looking really good week 1.
Yeah. So that would take New England here.
New England's a 3-point favorite. I don't think I mentioned that.
Yeah, I would take New England. I think they can cover that easily.
Yeah, I'm on the New England side as well. The over in this series has hit 6 of the last 8 times, and the total is set at 43 in this game.
I would take over in that.
So that's something to keep in mind. I lean toward the over. I don't think I'm going to bet it though. And I like New England in this one as well.
Yeah.
Moving on, we got Miami at Vegas. So this is interesting because Tua got injured last week. Tom Pelissero of the NFL Network has come out and said the x-rays were negative on Tua, and it's going to be a pain tolerance issue. So to me, that says he's probably going to play. And the bettors apparently agreed with that assessment because that line fell from 5.5 to 4 immediately after Tom Pelissero's tweet when he announced that. And so you got a 4-point favorite now for Vegas hosting Miami. What do you think, Chad?
Yeah, I'm going to take Vegas with this. Obviously, they're one of the biggest surprises in the NFL this season, winning 2 games against the AFC. That division there with the Browns. And I mean, they got Baltimore at home. And no one saw them beating Pittsburgh last week, which was it wasn't even that close, to be honest with you. You know, so the big surprise in the NFL this season, I would take Vegas with this. I think they're going to ride that momentum. We don't know what the hell's going on with Tua, if he's going to be healthy, if he's going to be healthy enough to play, or if he's going to be healthy enough to make an impact. I think 3.5 isn't that much of that high-powered offense that the Vegas Raiders have, so I would take Vegas there with 3.5.
Yeah, I'm not going to touch this game. Just too much uncertainty, man. I kind of like the Miami number a little bit, but too many times I've seen, I place a bet and then a guy gets hurt in the first quarter and I'm like, Jesus Christ, so I don't want to get burned on this. So I'm not touching it. Interesting note here, the last 7 times these two teams have played, the over has cashed, and the over in this game is 45.5. So if you like trends, that's something interesting to look at. Chad, I was thinking, man, if we start producing like hats and shirts, I think we need one that says, I'm not going to touch this game. Yeah. Because we say that an awful lot. But it's important because a lot of bettors out there think that you need to bet on every game. And it's important to know when not to bet. You're saving yourself money sometimes when you choose not to bet.
Yeah, that and hashtag MethTown. That should totally be one of our shirts, man.
The MethTown hat needs to be in Raiders colors.
Yeah,
it needs to be black and silver for sure.
Hell yeah.
No doubt about it.
Yeah. Or we got an alternate Buffalo one too.
Oh yeah, good call. Good call.
Definitely got to get a Buffalo one in there.
For sure.
I'm sure Jacksonville is a meth town too. That looks like a meth town.
I've never been to Jacksonville.
I haven't either, but it sounds like a meth town. But yeah, those shirts will be coming any day now, guys.
Absolutely. You guys wait for it. Wait for it. Next, we got Jets at Denver. Denver's an 11-point favorite. I think this is your biggest point spread of the week. This is going to be a very popular survivor pick. Last 8 times these two teams have played, Denver is 6-2 against the spread. The Jets may be the worst team in the league, folks. It's time to accept that.
Yeah, there's a lot of teams that could probably take that crown.
I will feel confident telling you after week 3 who the worst team in the league is. Okay. If I had to say right now, I think I'd put my money on the Jets.
See, I think this is Jacksonville all day long. They got a coach that doesn't even belong in the NFL.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be outclassed all year long until he goes to USC next year.
All right, so we need to define what do we mean by worst team in the league. I think the Jaguars have by far a better roster than the Jets.
Yeah, I'm saying who's going to look the saddest this year.
Yep. Absolutely.
And I think the Jaguars are going to look the saddest because I think they're going to quit on their coach if they haven't already. Halfway through the season, they're not going to start tuning that dumbass out and not listen to his dumbass.
I might agree with you there. I think the Jaguars roster is more talented than probably 3 or 4 rosters in the NFL. Look at their roster, man. They've got some names on that team, but they're just terribly coached.
Yeah.
It's awful. It's a train wreck.
He's out of his league. This ain't college when he was in college at a time where you could pay players under the table. I'm being serious, dog. This is a fact. This is a fact. He was in college at a time where you could pay players under the table, and that kind of gave you a little boost. Then you had the whole shenanigans with that dumbass coach that he had, that Earl Bruce's grandson. That definitely had a bunch of secrets that he just didn't want to let out and everything. That's why that guy continued to be in that program despite all the crazy shit that he did. This is a different league now, man. Everybody's got 5 stars. The best of the best are playing in the NFL. Mm-hmm. There's not that much of a gap between rosters as there. This isn't. You're not playing fucking UConn. You know what I mean? Right. At home in front of 100,000 fans. You're playing against other grown men. They're getting paid, several $1 million that want to, get that paycheck. Yep. They give a shit about Jacksonville. This isn't like that. So you're not playing against 1 and 2 stars and 5 stars. These guys are all 5 stars. The best of the best make it to the NFL. That's true. And I think that coaching is incredibly important in NFL, and that's the razor thin edge of between winning and losing, 1 and 15 or 13 and 4.
For sure. Denver's a tough place to play. I mean, you got that mile high air. That's a loud stadium. I still can't put my money on really either of these teams here. You guys may have noticed this. I just like to stay away from these large point spreads. I think they're just too dicey here.
Yeah. If I had to pick, I'd go with the Jets. I don't think they're going to get beat by 11. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. This might be the game of the week coming up here. We've got definitely Tampa at the Rams. I'm seeing and tell me if you're seeing anything different on OddsShark, Chad, but I'm seeing a pick'em, or some places Rams are -1. I wouldn't be surprised if eventually the Buccaneers end up 1 point favorites here.
And they are Bovada, a couple different places.
Nice.
So they're flip-flop 1 point favorites. So yeah, it's a pick'em essentially.
Okay, so here's a little strategy here, folks. Chad just said that we've got each team is a 1 point favorite. So how about a little 6 point teaser by putting them 6 points where the Rams are +1. So now you've got the Rams +7, and then you take +7 for the Bucs on the other side. So now you've got a 14 point middle. So if either team wins by less than 7, you're going to cash on that teaser bet, or at least the first leg of that teaser bet. So that's something to consider out there. I love middling, and that's a great middle opportunity when you got two different books. One team's a favorite at one book, and the other team's a favorite at another book.
Yeah. I'm going to take Tampa Bay in this, man. I think they're the best team in the league still. Until somebody proves them wrong, proves me wrong. I know this is in LA. Obviously, they're going to have a little bit of a home field advantage there. I still think it's Tampa Bay, man. I think they're the class of the league. I expect them to go extremely far this year, if not win it again. But I'm going to take Tampa Bay there.
I'm not going to take either side. I'm going to take the over here. The over is 54.5, and here's why. The Rams don't have a great running game, and their running backs are banged up, and the Buccaneers have probably the best run defense in the league. So I see Stafford throwing the ball I'm not joking. He could throw the ball 60 times in this game.
Yeah, I mean, he probably will.
Over 50 for sure.
Yeah.
So if there's prop bets out there, I know there are for Matthew Stafford, attempts, completions, yards. I'd be all over that. I think because of that, this is going to be a very high scoring game. And if you got Stafford throwing the ball 50 times on one side, that means Tom's going to be throwing the ball at least 40 or 50 on the other side. I see back and forth fireworks. It's really a shame that this isn't a Sunday night or Monday night game, because this is going to be a blast to watch.
It's going to be game of the week. I can't wait to watch that game. It's a 4:00 start for Central Time for us anyways.
Yep.
Sorry, that'll be a 3:25 start for us, right? Yeah. So
4 o'clock on the East Coast.
4 o'clock on the East Coast, but that's going to be a great game. Yeah, dude, that is a prime time matchup there.
Yeah, for sure. Next one here, we've got Seattle at Minnesota. Last I saw, tell me if this has changed at all, Chad. I saw Seattle as a 1 point favorite. Some places 1.5 point favorite. What are you seeing on OddsShark?
I'm seeing a 1 point favorite right now as well. Me personally, I would take Seattle in this instance. Minnesota looked pretty decent last week against Arizona. They kept that game close, but Seattle obviously had some trouble with Tennessee, which you called, I believe. Didn't you call that?
Yes, I absolutely did. Yeah.
So I think they were 3.5 point favorites last week, and obviously did not cover that.
There were more. They were like they ended at 6.5.
Oh, okay.
By kickoff, they were 6.5. But by the time we recorded the show, I think it was 5.
Okay, I was going to say 5.5. I think it was 5.5. But I would take Seattle in this instance. Minnesota's going to be desperate for a win. Both those teams are going to be desperate for a win. Obviously, Seattle's already got one under the belt. Minnesota's going to pull out all the stops. Mike Zimmer might be on the hot seat. And I don't know that that's totally fair, because I think a lot of that goes with Kirk Cousins. I don't think he's a great quarterback. I think he is an overpaid backup in my opinion, but that's my opinion. I'll take Seattle.
Home teams are 6-2 ATS in the last eight times these teams have played. Minnesota is a tough place to play. I think when you think of the toughest places to play in the NFL, what do you think, Chad? Seattle obviously goes up on the list. Denver's probably got to be up there on the list. I'd say Pittsburgh is probably up there on the list.
Yeah.
Because Minnesota is a newer stadium, I don't think people think of it as a top 5 tough places to play. I think it's borderline, though.
Yeah.
When those fans are rocking in that stadium, that's not an easy place to go. I'm going to go Minnesota for sure, man. I think by the kickoff, this could be Minnesota as a 1 point favorite as well. So if you agree with me and you like Minnesota, take it now while you're getting that extra point.
Yeah.
Derrick Henry just went through Seattle's defense like butter. And what reason do we have to believe that Dalvin Cook won't do the same thing against Seattle? I think Minnesota will control the time of possession and win that game.
I can see that.
Next, we've got Green Bay at my San Francisco 49ers. 3.5 or 4-point favorites here. In this series, the favorite team is 6-1-1 against the spread. That trend favors the 49ers. 49ers have a lot of injured running backs. It's going to be interesting to see their depth is going to be tested. Bakhtiari, the Packers tackle, is still out. They've got a decent backup in his place, but I tell you what, man, Nick Bosa looks pretty damn good. I lean toward the 49ers covering here, but I don't think I'm going to touch this pre-flop. I'm going to wait and do some live betting on this game.
Yeah, I don't blame you, man. I'm surprised that spread is so small, but I mean, I guess a lot of it is they're not freaking out over how Green Bay's looked so far this year. Yeah, I don't think I'd mess with that game. I think I'm with you. I don't think I'd touch that. If I had to pick, I would say San Francisco's going to cover that, but I wouldn't mess with it.
That's fair. All right, next, last game we have actually. Monday Night Football, Philadelphia at Dallas. This is one of my favorite games of the week, by the way. Home teams have won the last 5 of these contests, ATS, and so that trend would favor Dallas here. I just think whenever you've got 2 division teams that I think are pretty close together in terms of how good they are, if you're going to give me 4 points, 3.5 in some places. Tell me if that's changed, Chad. 4 points with Philly. I'll take that all day with Philly on the road.
Yeah, 4.5 and some places. Yeah. So I feel like that's kind of a large spread as well. I understand they're at home, but as Jesse said earlier in the interview we had with him, Philly looked a lot better than they've definitely a team that's improved since last year. And
as Jesse said, Jalen Hurts looked really good in that game. I mean, his best pass of the day was probably an incompletion that it looked like a touchdown, but the receiver stepped out of bounds. I was really impressed with this guy. I mean, in week 1, he looked even better. Watch out for Jalen Hurts for sure.
Put the work in. You can tell he put the work in the offseason, man, because he looks pretty good. I will go with Dallas here. I understand, they're coming off a big emotional victory against the Chargers last week. Unfortunately, Dak kind of screwed me. I put some money down on his total passing yards. I think it was at 310.5. I thought for sure he was going to hit that. Chargers. I underestimated that Chargers defense because they played really well against him. Yeah. He only had like 230 or something like that, 220. Wasn't even close. I'm going to go with Dallas, man. I think they'll be juiced up. It's Monday night. It's a divisional opponent. They're going to want to make sure that they put the foot down, kind of take over this game, take over the division, because these are 2 teams that are going to be vying for this division, I think. I think this is going to be a 2-team race, in my opinion. It is going to be an early indicator of who's going to win that division, in my opinion.
Yeah, for sure. Like I said, I like the Eagles. Eagles are probably one of my favorite bets this week. Eagles and Chargers would be my 2 favorite bets, getting the points. And then I love that teaser bet that I mentioned earlier, which would be the Browns just winning the game. And who was the other one that just had to win here? Let me pull it up. Cleveland, bringing Cleveland from 7.5 down to 7, and then Baltimore from 7.5 down to 7 in a 2-game teaser. If you want to be ballsy out there, throw Cincinnati in there. And then that brings Cincinnati up over 11. I'm probably going to be teasing with Cincinnati all season because of the legend of Joey Backdoor.
Joey Backdoor Burrow, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
We're going to get him on the show sometime. We're going to ask him if he likes butt, too.
How do you feel about that nickname, Joey?
Yeah. He's like, well, it's pretty appropriate considering I love butt. So, yeah, I don't. It's great. Some good matchups here in week 3. Yeah, NFL is just so exciting this year, man. We got so many awesome storylines. I love the fucking parity in this league, man. Yeah. College football could take a couple notes from these guys, man.
Yeah, no kidding.
Keeps things so exciting. Other than a handful of franchises, everyone feels like they can make the playoffs this year.
Yeah,
and so it's been so exciting so far this year, man. It's a great year to have NFL Sunday ticket, man.
No doubt about it.
You got to mortgage the damn house to get that shit. You know what I'm saying? I've been eating SpaghettiOs for the last 4 weeks just so I can pay for this shit. I'm playing, but I might have to. You know what I mean? They jack it up too much higher. Yeah. So tell us what you think. Hit us up on Twitter. Hit us up on all social media platforms. Let us know if we're full of shit. If we know what we're talking about, or if you disagree, or if you agree with what we're saying. Tony's got some great information, man. So if you're going to play some bets, you definitely want to listen to what this guy's saying. He spends a lot of time combing through these stats and information to give. Dude, you got some great information on all these the games that we got here, man. So we appreciate that, and you definitely want to make this a place to listen before you put your bets down, man. Because Tony's done a lot of research for you.
Try to do some of that heavy lifting for you. And a great show today here, Chad. I mean, we talked to Jesse, who had some great insight. We've got a couple great guests coming up. You want to tell people about the 2 college basketball coaches?
Yeah, man. We're hitting the mid-majors hard, okay? Well, I've been busting my ass. We've been trying to get in contact with a lot of these mid-major programs, guys that were in a tournament last year that we want to talk to, get a feel for where their teams are going to be at this year, because with COVID, as we know, a lot of those guys got free years, so they can come back. Now, we want to see how that impacts them. Are a lot of guys leaving the program because they got to transfer out because they want to go to bigger schools? Are they getting some transfers in themselves? We're going to be talking to the head coach of the Eastern Washington Eagles, Mr. David Riley, young guy, 32-year-old guy that
just took over that program.
Just took over the program 4 months ago, and so it's going to be great to talk to him, get a feel for his team coming into this year, talk to him about how some of those transfers affect his squad, and then what he sees for his team in the Big Sky Conference coming up this year. They were a 14 seed last year. They went up against Kansas. They kind of controlled that game, the entire game, as a 14 seed going up against a 3 seed. And I thought they were going to win the game. I remember watching that, and they looked really good. And it's going to be interesting to talk to him, see how he likes their chances in the Big Sky. Then after that, we got a great interview with a program that I have been enamored with for years. I have loved this program for over a decade, and it's going to be great to get to talk to their head man, the head coach of the VCU Rams, Mike Rhodes. VCU is an awesome team. They're going to be playing in the battle for Atlantis this year, going against some of the big blue bloods in the college basketball world. And it's going to be great to see how he likes their chances going into this year. They're a great team, a decent team last year. There was 19-7. They got a 10 seed. They're going up against Oregon in the first round. Unfortunately, they had some COVID BS and ended up having to forfeit that game, so they didn't even get to play, unfortunately. I had them winning a couple games, as I do almost every year. So it's going to be great to get to talk to their head coach, who I've never spoken to, obviously, nor have you, and just get a feel for that program and how he gets those guys motivated and everything. Because it's an awesome, awesome program that has now come onto the scene in the last decade or so. They were a team that no one really knew about. Now with Shaka Smart, now Mike Rhodes was an assistant coach at VCU when Shaka Smart was there for a few years. He went to Rice, had some great success there, took that program from the basement of their league and made them into a 23-win program. And now he's back at VCU. He's been there for 5 years. It'd be great to see if he's going to still implement some of those staples that we know of from VCU, which is the full court press, the defensive pressure, and then also, the game's changed a little bit. So let's talk to them about if they're spacing the floor a little bit more, what type of team they're going to have this year, because their schedule is brutal,
Yeah.
And they're brutal for some of these other teams too, because I don't think a lot of teams want to play VCU either.
Yeah.
So it's going to be great to talk to two of these big mid-major coaches and to see what their teams are going to be like.
Well, what I like about having them both in the same episode is they're two very different coaches. They're both successful and have been, but they're two different coaches who have different styles.
Yep.
One's a little bit younger. The other one's a little bit more old school. So it's going to be cool to get two different perspectives from two guys who have done so well in their coaching careers so far.
Yeah, and we've got a couple other mid-major coaches coming up. Hopefully some major coaches as well coming up. We like to talk to these mid-major programs that don't get too much glory or media attention and everything like that. Find out what makes their programs tick and who are the guys that are leading them. It's going to be awesome, man. We've got a lot of college coaches. We want to start getting into college basketball preview because, as you know, in just a few short weeks, they're going to be starting camp. I think they start camp. Some teams have already started camp, but a lot of them are going to be starting next week, and we're going to be getting into the season here in about a month. So college basketball is going to be great again this year, and so we're super excited about who we got coming on the program, man. So before we go, let's tell everybody about OddsShark one last time. OddsShark is your source for the latest odds from leading authorities, expert editorial content, and detailed matchup picks. Looking for statistics and trends for an upcoming game? OddsShark has that too, and it's free. In-depth, expert analysis, stats, numbers, and trends to help you make the sharp game day picks. Whether you want to check out tonight's football odds, this week's hockey or basketball trends, or anything in between, head on over to OddsShark and start thinking like a shark today. That's where we got all of our information from today. Great resource. You got to check them out.
Absolutely. Make sure you check us out on Twitter at DNP-CD Show, at DNP-CD Sports on Instagram, on TikTok, and on Facebook as well.
Yeah, give us a follow. Give us a subscribe. the subscribe button. Let's try that one more time. You act like I got drunk during this motherfucker or something. Hit the subscribe button. Tell your friends about the show. Follow us on all social media platforms. Thanks for listening, everybody. I hope you enjoyed the program. We got a great show for you again next week. For Tony, I am Chad. We'll see you guys again next week. Peace out.
Thanks for listening. You can find more episodes and all of our other Hot Pie Media originals baked fresh daily at our home online at hotpiemedia.com, the Hot Pie Media YouTube channel, or wherever you listen to podcasts.